morning, Earthlings. How you doing? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Let's jump into our cosmic weather for today. Alright, let's see. We got spaceweather.com. Our solar wind is 311.9 kilometers per second, so we've slowed down considerably. Our planetary K-index is quiet. That's a 1, expected to be no higher than this the next 24 hours. We can see that there aren't really any coronal holes that are evident to us at this point in time. And then, of course, as would be expected, our chance of flares is very low. M-class flare, about a 10% chance. Only 1% chance we're going to have anything higher, like an X-class flare. But there could be some geomagnetic storm activity which translates into auroras and colors in the skies, things of that nature. You can have like a 15% chance of something like that in the mid-latitudes. And if you get into higher ones, it goes up to about 25%. Just depends where you are, really. And as far as any other news, solar activity is low with only a smattering of minor C-class flares coming from a few active regions scattered across the solar disk. An eruption from sunspot AR 1465 on the 28th didn't even get off the ground. And there's a little video there showing all of this. And then, of course, the Mars-directed one, but not affecting us. Alright, astrologically, we've just moved into a new month, but we continue to stay in the same sun sign. Sun sign is the sun sign of Taurus, Taurus the bull. Taurus is an earth sign. Taurus the bull represents the idea of practicality, applying practicality into our lives of what we want to create, because there's four different elements. You got fire, you got water, you got air, you got earth. Now you also have the element of spirit or ether, which is part of the mix as well. And what we're learning how to do in life is to mix all these elements together. So by knowing what elements are available to us, help us to understand that. We have our conscious mind and our unconscious mind. Our conscious mind are the things that we think about, the outside world, issues we deal with, things of that nature. Things below the surface are our unconscious mind. And throughout the course of our day, our conscious mind and our unconscious mind are working together. Whenever we do something, we have thoughts in our mind about what it is we're wanting to do. We think about it, and that's thoughts that come from our unconscious mind. So unconscious, today, we're looking at, we have the moon is in Virgo, right here. So Virgo is an earth sign. So we have a sun sign as an earth sign, and the moon sign is an earth sign. So we have double earth. So today could be a good practical day. Earth is the ground. It's a day to be grounded. Could be a good day to really get yourself grounded. Earth and earth, there could be some stubbornness involved with the two ideas of earth and earth, of which idea is more practical than the other. One thing about Virgo is a very analytical sign. A lot of thinking going on. A lot of analysis, that's part of the whole process. Alright, so that's what we're doing with astrologically, Earth and Earth. The moon is on its way up to a full moon. We're 73% of the way there. Our Mayan oracle, we've made it to a 12-tone day, the 12th position on the wave spell. So we started this wave spell way up here. We've gone all the way around, and now we're here, the 12th position. 12th position is the position of the Skywalker in this particular grid. Skywalker is right in the middle. We see the 12th position reflected by the 12th tone. 5, 5, and 2 dots. That's 5 plus 5 is 10, 11, 12. So we have a 12 Skywalker guided by the serpent. Alright, that's what today is called. The supporting cast members, we've got the Knight, we've got the World Bridger, and we've got the Star. Altogether, the phrase for today is I dedicate in order to explore universalizing wakefulness. I seal the output of space with the crystal tone of cooperation. I am guided by the power of life force. One thing about these crystal tones, because if you just look at this matrix here, this wave spell, we've got 13 days. Now at the end of this wave spell, when we get to this last position, this doesn't end. We go to the next wave spell of 13 days. So you imagine getting to this position here, and to get to the next, to the number one position, which be over here, let's say, requires a jump. Therefore, the 13th position is the jumper, the one that jumps from one wave spell to the next. Well, before we make that jump, today's a 12-tone day. It's called the Crystal Tone of Cooperation. The Crystal Tone of Cooperation is about working with others kind of in a format of understanding where we've been so we can understand where we have to go. So it's a time when there's a meeting with the elders, so to speak, of gathering your ideas so you know before you get into the next wave spell how you're going to get there. Getting ready for that big jump that's about to be made. Does that make sense? If not, send me some emails, ask me some questions. I'd be glad to specify anything for you. On the Gregorian calendar, today is Tuesday, May 1st. And then we see the Mayan Zolkin, it's a 4 Kami, and a 9 Woe on the Hob. Alright, you can also, if you wanted to, look at the full readings on each of these dates, the long count or the Hob count. You can just select this here, for example, if we want to see what the Hob reading is just for today, or the long count reading. We've got all the information about it. Alright, or the same thing if we want to look at it from, just look at the Hob right here. And by reading through each of this, it helps you explain and understand a little bit more what it all is. But basically, it's all the same system. You just click on the all. That way you can look at all the different options that are available. This, and there's more to read down here. Alright? There's a lot of good information here. The link's available. It's starroot.com/CGI/day-calc, CALC.PL. Alright. There you go. That's our cosmic weather for today. Now, moving right along, going to get things started off with Ron Paul. Information on Ron Paul. I went to Ron Paul's website at YouTube today. Guess what? It's not there anymore. It was taken down. So Ron Paul has now been deleted from YouTube. We'll see how long this lasts and if they're going to put his site back up. What's going to happen with that? It just seems to be another situation where we understand how far the establishment actually reaches, and YouTube certainly is within their reach, because why would you take down the videos of a presidential candidate and say that these videos, there were complaints that there was copyright infringement going on? Yet you have a president in office who is being questioned whether he is an actual counterfeit person or a real person, and yet every video about Obama is still up there. So, little by little, folks, we start to see who's on whose side. Little by little. And you realize the ones you think are on your side necessarily aren't. So, anyway, this is the piece on Ron Paul. I'm going to go ahead and play this. You watch, see what you think. Here we go.
Well, now to politics here in our own country. Let's take a look at the narrowing presidential field as we get ready to head into the month of May, which means just about 6 months left before the 2012 election. All right, so Rick Santorum is out. Newt Gingrich is scheduled to back out this week. So that just leaves two men, Mitt Romney and Ron Paul. And I think it's fair to say the Republican establishment viewpoint as of today can be summed up pretty simply. And I'll give the honors to President George H.W. Bush, or Daddy Bush.
I do think it's time for party to get behind Governor Romney. And she was reminding me, Kenny Rogers song, it's time when to hold him, it's time when to fold him. Well, I think it's time for people to all get behind this good man.
All right, but not everyone thinks it's time to fold him. We want to show you some numbers that are emerging in terms of delegate count. And I should say these numbers are a little fluid, but here's a look. Total delegate count on that road to getting 1,144. Now, the total right now for Romney, 847. Ron Paul has 80. But now that the other guys are no longer running, we do want to compare and contrast some of what else we're seeing. In Iowa, both men have 7 delegates. In Minnesota, Mitt Romney has 2, Ron Paul has 9. In North Dakota, Mitt Romney has 7 delegates and Ron Paul has 8. And in Maine, Romney has 11 and Ron Paul has 9. So these are some different numbers than you see probably in the mainstream media. And I spoke a short while ago with Ron Paul supporter Isabel Gonzalez, president of Youth for Ron Paul at University of Texas at El Paso. And I asked her what she thought about these numbers.
Well, I believe that there is no way to actually tell how many delegates Mitt Romney has versus Ron Paul, because Santorum just got out or suspended his campaign a few weeks ago, and Gingrich has just done the same. So a lot of these delegates, depending on whether they're from bound or unbound states, they get to choose if they're from unbound states, and a lot of those, from what we can tell, have been going to Ron Paul. So it's a matter of we can't really tell, but it's definitely something that looks good for Ron Paul at this point.
So you think, despite the very large number of overall delegates received up to this point, that there still is a chance, that these numbers will tell a much different story in a couple weeks?
Well, it could very well be that. I believe the numbers that they've been showing on CNN are like 800 for Mitt Romney, but Ron Paul has a lot more than what they're showing, which is about 79 last time I checked. I just think that for instance, I'm in Texas and we haven't even had our state convention yet. I was chosen to go to be a delegate in Fort Worth. So there's a lot of, I think, Ron Paul supporters out there who aren't saying they're Ron Paul supporters simply because they feel like they're not going to be chosen or something of that sort. So.
Now, I'm not sure if you know, Isabel, but we have a lot of Ron Paul supporters on this network. We interview a lot of people, kind of get their take on this race, just to show, you know, a different perspective here. And time again, they look like you. They're young, they're energetic. Ron Paul is 76 years old. He does not look like you. Why do you think it is that so many young people follow him?
Okay, well, I think from what I've seen, at least, that Ron Paul has great ideas. He's a very well-read, educated man who speaks very frankly about things, even if they're not nice to hear. And I think that we definitely, my generation or people my age, appreciate that type of honesty. So that's what initially attracts us to him. And then once we see his, I guess, the platform all around, we see how consistent he is and how fair he is to everybody, not just to favor one group over the other or to gain any sort of advantage over anybody. It's just, this is the way the Constitution was written, this is what we should follow. And I think that that is something that is rare and something we definitely are drawn to.
I want to talk about something interesting that happened recently in Alaska. The new heads of the state GOP, Russ Millett, Ron Paul supporter, as is co-chair Debbie Haaland Brown, Ron Paul supporter. This is pretty unprecedented. I haven't seen this in any other states, that the head of the state party is a Ron Paul supporter. What do you think this says in terms of a move or a shift in, what up until this point was sort of an establishment mentality for the GOP?
Well, I think that it's a trend that's going to continue because here alone in El Paso, there are a lot of, I guess what you would call the establishment GOP, and I've met with them, gotten to know them. A lot of them like Ron Paul. The only thing that's keeping them from actually supporting him outright is the fact that they believe he's unelectable. And I think that's really the thing, that's the key thing. But I went ahead and reserved some seats for some of those GOP individuals here in El Paso when Ron Paul spoke here last week, and they were clapping and smiling, and at the end they were just happy. And I think that as long as we get away from that mentality that Ron Paul's unelectable, because really the only thing that's keeping him from being elected is that mentality. You know, if people just embraced his ideas and thought, this is doable, I think that the trend's definitely going to continue in that direction.
And that is interesting to hear that they're showing up to these speeches. You certainly do start to hear a lot of his ideas that he's been talking about for years, whether about the gold standard or the Fed or, other ideologies. You do hear those start to come up more and more in some of the more establishment leader speeches. I do want to play something, because I think you raise a good point. A lot of people do have trouble sort of throwing all their weight behind him, even though a lot in the establishment are saying, all right, it's time, presumptive nominee. Let's hear from a couple of Mitt Romney's former competitors in terms of their desire to jump on the bandwagon.
Mitt Romney is going to be the nominee, and I'm going to support the nominee, whoever that nominee is, period.
Well, that's Mitt Romney.
Well, that's what it looks like, yeah.
But I hear you saying you're not yet ready to say, I'm endorsing Mitt Romney, but you will at some point.
Well, as the line says in The Wizard of Oz, all in good time, my pretty. It will happen.
All in good time, my pretty. So neither of them sort of really excited to, throw everything behind Mitt Romney. Why do you think that is?
Well, I mean, both of them have claimed to be the true conservative candidate, and I think that it's very difficult for them to support Mitt Romney after I guess, outspokenly speaking about how he's not a conservative and he does not represent true conservative values that the GOP claims to, champion. So I think that a lot of the pressure is down the line that they're going to eventually endorse him because they have the same mentality. He's going to be the candidate. He's the electable one versus Ron Paul, who's actually the true conservative. So I think that it's hard for them, but they feel like it's something that's they have to do it in order to beat Obama in November, which is one of the main goals for the GOP.
All right, last question, Isabel. I want to get your predictions right here, right now, for what we're going to see in the next couple months regarding Ron Paul.
My predictions? Okay. I really do think that he's going to take Texas. I believe he's going to take California. And if he doesn't win the straw polls, he'll definitely get a lot of the majority of the delegates. He has had very large crowds show up to go listen to him speak in both Texas and California. And I think that it's definitely going to be something pretty amazing this coming month. So I think those are definitely two big things that he's looking out for that I feel he's going to get. So.
All right. Well, we will all be watching. Appreciate your take today. Isabel Gonzalez, president of Youth for Ron Paul at the University of Texas at El Paso.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
Alrighty, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stories for us today. First one comes to us. Bright, unidentified flying object over Gumi, South Korea on the 30th of April. Alright, let's see what's going on here. It was flying around the night sky. Alright. There we go. We got the single light up there. Okay, let me stop it right there. So there's our object in question going through the sky. Not really seeing very clear what it is. But it's definitely something moving kind of erratically, different than a plane would. Can't really tell if it's a light, like a hologram, or if it's a... Alright, very interesting. Alright, the link's available for you to check it out. Next we have from Roger Marsh over at theexaminer.com. Triangle UFO reported under 1,000 feet over Independence, Missouri. A Missouri witness reports watching a slow-moving triangle craft with 2 slow-blinking lights in the back moving over Independence under 1,000 feet around 9:10 p.m. on April 28th, 2012, according to testimony from Mutual UFO Witness Reporting Database. It was very odd. A triangular-shaped flying object that had 2 blinking lights on the rear. Only, the witness stated, these very, very bright lights were circular and blinked on and off every 2 seconds. I timed it. There were no other lights on the craft like you would see on a plane. The witness called a co-worker outside to watch the event, which lasted about 5 minutes. We were both perplexed because it was moving so slowly, and we decided that it could not have been a conventional aircraft. It did not look like a helicopter either. It was triangular with one end being longer than the other two sides, and the edges were quite thick. The object was moving in a northeast to southwest direction in a straight line and did not waver from its path. The witness stated the object remained on the same altitude during the event. Alright, so there you go. There's no footage or anything on this one. We have another reporting here from Roger Marsh. Multiple UFOs reported as ongoing activity by New Hampshire witness. New Hampshire witness is reporting ongoing UFO activity, including objects in groups of 3 or 4 that appear and disappear without sound, according to the April 30th, 2012 testimony from the Mutual UFO Reporting Database. These events usually occur between hours of 12 and 3 a.m., but my wife and I have seen these objects during the day too, the witness stated. I'm disabled and have difficulty sleeping because of pain. I go out on the balcony to smoke. The witness was able to shoot video of objects seen in April 27, 2012. The video can be downloaded directly from MUFON, or there's a couple links here. The witness offers a background of what he has seen in the past. Goes on to say, my wife and I have been living at our current residence for 6 years. For the first 4 years, I didn't notice anything strange in the sky. My first sighting occurred during the summer of 2010 around 12 a.m. We have a perfect view of the night sky from our second-story balcony. What caught my attention on the night was a group of 3 bright, orb-like objects that moved silently and slowly above the tree line. I first believed they were planes, but after watching them for about 2 minutes, I realized that 1, they didn't emit any noise, and that 2 of the 3 objects instantly changed direction and flew in opposite directions. This struck me funny because no plane could change its course so quickly. Alright. Next story comes to us. This is educatinghumanity.com, and this has to do with the space station. It says no description to speak of with this video. It was uploaded on the 29th by BP with the title Strange UFO from the ISS over Africa. Alright, let's take a look. Okay. And this is this is the ISS over Africa here. So we're looking for these lights. Okay, there's one of the lights that showed up there, and that's quite interesting. Whatever that might be. Alright, so just zipping through here. Alright, this video is available, so check out the link that we can get a little more insight. And last one, Anonymous set to release information that we are not alone. I watched this video the other day and struggled with the decision to post it. Many news stories on the internet are contrived, faked, and slanted in one direction or another. Some are simply put out there to give a person about their 15 minutes of fame. The only thing we know is that Anonymous is a real group of loosely organized hackers. They've had some success exposing corporate and government information. Is this video real? Your guess is as good as mine. We can only wait and see. Alright, there's a message from Anonymous. Let's listen what they have to say.
Greetings, citizens of the world. We now have the knowledge of the Illuminati, and we will share this information with you. We can perceive why those withholding this knowledge are doing so, but completely disagree with that policy. It is every human's birthright to be given the truth regarding reality and our place in the universe. You are intelligent enough to come to terms with this information, and therefore we know you will not suffer. You will have your reality and belief system challenged, but you will benefit from its disclosure. When this data is released in the coming weeks, first impressions will be disbelief, due to your own mind calling out fake and impossible. However, you will be guided through this experience of learning. It will be an extremely hard lesson to learn once you become one of the knowing, and it will be no easy ride, psychologically speaking. For, as we stated, your perception of reality and belief systems are challenged to the highest degree. Once this battle has conspired, you will emerge reborn with the knowledge of the universe and all that is. You will not instantly know every aspect of the reality which has been denied you. Instead, it will be up to you to perceive the information being released and use your mind and inner light to connect with those the ancients called the gods, thus receiving more answers. You are in receipt of their messages, yet you choose to ignore them, as the conditioning you have endured willingly creates a mindset that refuses to acknowledge them. While you refuse to know in your mind, you will refuse to see with your eyes. Those whom try and refute this evidence, and there will be many, are those that keep your mind in bondage. Do not trust them, instead trust your own intuition. The data which we release will be visual and verbal. All we ask of you is to promote it and translate it into your own language and the language of others, be it verbal or sign. When this message has become viral on the internet, we will then disclose the truth.
We are anonymous. We are legion. We are united as one. We are divided by zero. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.
Alright, well, we shall see what happens there. Very interesting indeed. And if what they say has reality to it, there could be some interesting stories in times ahead. Alright, let me break away for a moment here. I'll be right back. More news and information straight ahead. Wake up.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of them.
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. The evidence is overwhelming. Step past your fear, take a look. Illuminati lies keep growing, but they're illusion from your eyes. And wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What would our founding fathers say if they were alive today? Must be turning in their graves. Redcoats are coming, Big Brother's watching. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What if I land and two if I see? And I on the opposite shore will be ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm. Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. When a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Patriots arise. It's time to demand the truth.
All right. Continuing on. So, how about that video on the first video there? You see old Bush Sr., old Beelzebub himself, crawled out of the crypt to give Romney his endorsement. Oh ho, how about that? All right, now, and then Bachman. How telling is that? Barbara Bachman gives a quote. You know who she quoted from The Wizard of Oz? The Wicked Witch. A lot of people go through, they think of the quotes, remember the quotes from the heroes, but she's got the quote of the Wicked Witch, and that's the one that she's quoting. Huh, interesting. Now, not too long ago, when we talked about Ron Paul and the delegates, remember we showed some results that showed Ron Paul having as many at that point as 380 delegates, and the amount that Romney had was only in the 500 range because Ron Paul was being underestimated and Romney was being overestimated. Things like that are going on. So until the very end, it's kind of really hard to say. Here's a poll that's taking place over at Hannity, Sean Hannity's website, and look at the results here. According to this poll, if the elections were to end today, who would you vote for? This is at Sean Hannity at Fox News. You can see right here. Where's he at? Sean Hannity. All right, at Fox News. Ron Paul has the greatest amount, followed by Gingrich, followed by Romney. How ironic is it that the one you hear the least about is the one that has the most votes, and then the one who's getting ready to drop out is the second most, and the guy that the establishment is pushing is the guy that has the lowest amount of the three on there. Yeah, that's the guy that they're pushing. How ironic. All right. We live in a crazy system, folks. Crazy system. They want to try to convince you. And many of you are waking up to the fact, and that's great. But they want you to believe that there's actually two systems here. That there's the right and the left. The Democrats and the Republicans. But they're really behind the scenes all the same group. Romney and Obama's the same difference. Same person. You got one's white, one's black. That's it. That's it. Skin colors, all are changing. But basically, they want to put the same guy in. A white version of Obama. And people are thinking, oh, this is different. It's not any different. Listen to the policies. Listen to the things that he's saying. The only one that is making a difference and saying things different is Ron Paul. And they don't like what Ron Paul has to say because Ron Paul wants to get back to the Constitution. But those who are running the ship right now, they want to get away from the Constitution. They've been pulling away from it for a while. They certainly don't want anybody bringing us closer to it or remembering that there is a Constitution to pull closer to. So, all that being said, this is going to lead me to the next clip here. This is another Ron Paul vote count kind of deal. Here we go.
What has become so clear as we monitor these events from state to state is that in this primary, voters are given the appearance of having a voice and a hand in the process when clearly they do not.
And I'm telling you, if they had to shut down the system completely, issue an executive order, a PDD, declare martial law, name it, they do whatever. Because no one and nobody's getting in the way of this rigged system. There's no difference between Democrat and Republican at the POTUS or presidential level. So therefore, if no one, Democrat or Republican, would be allowed anywhere near the White House who pledged to destroy the status quo system, then that means it's rigged.
Outpour that you see in the rallies, the support that you see among the youth vote is not translating at the polls.
Well, you have to read all the stories about how they count the votes, too, to be fair, because there's a lot of things going on. We can put 4,000 people in a precinct and come up with 2,000 votes.
They've been putting out phony polls one after another to try to make establishment hacks, so like Romney or Gingrich, look like the front runner. You have to understand something. The Iowa caucus, the state Iowa GOP has a long history of rigging not only the Iowa caucus but also the Iowa straw poll.
Take it from someone from South Carolina who doesn't just get on here and say this stuff lightly. I know people, I know whole churches that voted for Ron Paul, and everyone here is scratching their heads going, hey, we all voted for Ron Paul. We don't know how he didn't win this precinct.
basically fraud, I guess, on the first part, letting the other guy go in as me and voting.
Mitt Romney on record paid people to come to Tommy's Country Ham House in Greenville. People drove in on buses from BYU, and one of the students said that the Romney campaign was going to reimburse them. They paid people to stand out on the road like Ron Paul supporters and hold signs.
And we go over to CNN, and here's where the shenanigans start, and it's very obvious. Washoe County, 3% reporting. That's 5% reporting less than anywhere else. And we already have Mitt Romney at 1,500 votes.
I'm convinced now that you can't vote them out. The elections are fixed.
Even though Rick Santorum came in first and Ron Paul second in the North Dakota caucus, Mitt Romney actually won the state. But did that win come through the railroading of the system?
A total of 138 votes were cast. In the official Maine GOP tallies, however, the results from all but one of those communities, all but one, were given as a series of zeros below the name of each candidate, meaning the official tally shows that no one voted. The system should be much more clear. Unfortunately, how those delegates in North Dakota were selected was anything but fair. The state instructed the chairman to not read any of the votes aloud.
He wanted a vote fraud system to be built?
He wanted a program that could flip the votes without anyone seeing it.
Moving on to Nevada. Paula Camp cries fraud over Nevada caucus results. And this is from the Examiner.com.
A young guy named Edward True attended that caucus, and he found that Mitt Romney was given 20 more votes than he actually received.
There's no doubt that there's election fraud going on in this country.
Votes were being counted. A strange thing happened. The lights turned off. Not when the votes were being counted, but when they were being collected, the lights turned off.
Oh, the lights turned
on every occasion. The votes that were lost were Ron Paul votes.
Look in the official Republican Party's results list. 0 votes.
Any other comments? How much time? That's it. That's it.
Two election supervisors take action tonight after an NBC2 investigation uncovers flawed record-keeping and human error, allowing people who are not citizens of the United States to vote.
Then there are a lot of precincts, a bunch of precincts at least, where there are disputes. There were more ballots cast than there were people signed up for that precinct.
The original article dated Thursday, February 2nd, 2012 at 8:40 p.m. on Thursday, February 2nd, 2012, days before the election. Oh my God, you guys.
Mitt Romney did not win Belfast. Ron Paul won Belfast.
But sometimes we get thousands of people like this, and we'll take them to the polling booth, and we won't win the caucus. So, a lot of our supporters are very suspicious about it. But the straw votes have been very confusing. I mean, you've probably read the paper about what happened up in Maine.
And I'm fine if you don't vote for my amendment. I just feel like this has been un-American, undemocratic. Prior to voting on the slate, we should have known who was on the slate and which candidate each member of the slate supported.
But the state Republican Party planned to give Belfast to Mitt Romney anyway. When Belfast complained about that, the Belfast chairman was told by the state party, quote, "Oh, I'll be sure those numbers are changed." So, did the final tally from Belfast, Maine show Ron Paul winning Belfast, which in fact Belfast says is what happened? No, the numbers did not say that. Here's what they showed. 0!
Even though Governor Romney was already declared the winner, the numbers that the state GOP in Maine are reporting are, according to caucus chairman, incorrect.
Hey, you can't do that! The camera thing was...
Sit down! I'm asking this guy right here. You sit down. Sit down. You sit down.
So you're about to elect these delegates to the state convention. We're asking you to vote for these people. There are Romney people, Gingrich people, and Santorum people on the list. How were they chosen? They were chosen based on, we talked to each campaign, we talked to local Republicans who knew them, and we got advice from them. And I'm asking you, on behalf of the Romney campaign, to vote for it. It is in the interest of the state convention.
If that was fair and that was legal. Now, immediately I began calling for division. Hundreds of other people started calling for division, which means count the vote. That can't, again, you don't have to have the floor, you don't have to have a second, and it must be acted on. And demands for a count of the vote were ignored.
Some candidates' supporters are attempting to change the rules of the caucuses in order to manipulate the delegate process.
What's your plan for tonight? Tell me the truth. I've been in politics for 35 years. My cause has been the cause of liberty.
All right, my question to you is, how do you feel as an American when you watch that and you see all the voter fraud in this country? How does that make you feel? Do you feel good? Do you feel like this country's moving in the right direction? How do you feel when you have all these people cheating in such a way to get somebody in an office and they really don't know too much about who that person is? How do you feel about that? Why do you think there are so many Americans that are willing to stand up and vote for Romney, or supposedly, when so many of these Americans could not even relate to him because they are on opposite ends of the financial spectrums? Now, sure, the amount of money you have shouldn't be necessarily an indicator whether you have compassion and can help take care of others, because he certainly seems like he wants to be able to do that. But just the fact that his lifestyle and who he is, he's not going to be able to relate, and no matter how hard he tries. So he's not going to fully be able to represent the same people that are out there saying that got to get this guy in office. There's a disconnect. It's a really weird disconnect. The guy who's telling the truth that's out there is the guy who's being ignored, and all of this fraud. So Americans, you shouldn't be feeling good about yourself that there's this much fraud in this country. We should be ashamed of ourselves as Americans for allowing ourselves to have this much fraud, because this isn't put on by one person. This is put on by individuals in every single state where this is taking place. That means we've allowed ourselves to fall prey to the lies of the government. We've allowed ourselves to believe in their deceptions so much that we, the people of this country, have laid down our integrity, and we've stepped aside from our common sense to be cheaters and liars. Is that what this has come down to? Because I don't want to be part of the cheaters and liar program, and I don't think a lot of Americans do. So we need to step aside from that. We need to step into truth, honesty, the things that are our God-given abilities and rights. Now, Ron Paul's website, here it is at YouTube. This is what they've done to it. They've taken it down. I don't think this is going to work out well for them. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of complaints about this. All right, here we go. This is from SHTFplan.com. Marshall Red Zone in America. Heavily armed security teams patrol Chicago. Feds prepare for mass detentions. Evacuation planning underway. Mark Slavo. All right, I've been talking about this. You've placed several of the stories up there. If transportation security pat-downs at public venues, thousands of drones over the skies of America, and the National Security Agency's new Echelon-like listening center in Utah weren't enough to convince you that we're living in a police state, then perhaps the latest news out of Chicago will change your mind. As world leaders prepare to meet in the Windy City for the annual NATO summit, U.S. federal officials are working feverishly to implement a security net so broad that it encompasses the entire Cook County, Illinois. Well, international summits are traditionally met with large police presence and preparations for the possibility of protests or rioting. What's taking place on American soil in anticipation of the May 20th meeting in downtown Chicago can be interpreted in only one way: the implementation of regionalized martial law. Last week, Red Cross officials reported that the City of Chicago Department of Homeland Security and the Secret Service had instructed them to prepare for a mass evacuation of the city in the event of an emergency during the NATO summit. The Red Cross was to prepare for shelter and food to feed residents in the event of such an evacuation. On the heels of the announcement, more details have emerged and suggest that the federal security apparatus has completely lost its marbles. And here's some information here. Via Off-Grid Survival, Illinois Department of Transportation is testing the emergency plan to shut off access into and out of downtown Chicago. Down here, it has been reported that local media that Cook County Sheriff Tom Dart is devising a strategy to deal with large-scale mass arrests during the NATO summit meeting. In fact, the Chicago Sun-Times is reporting that the once abandoned Joliet State Prison may be reopened as a mass detention center for NATO. Are you listening to this, folks? This is real. This is not a drill. Militarized red zone starting May 1st, a full 3 weeks before the NATO summit. The federal government will be setting up a militarized red zone in the streets of downtown Chicago. Okay, folks, there's much more to this article. You paying attention to what's going on? A big thing's about to go down. They're setting up military zones in country, and there's no war in America going on other than the war of terror that they have declared upon the American citizens. Can you say your constitutional rights are being violated? That's right. But hey, that's what's great about this country, right? The land of the free, home of the brave. Here's another one. Fully armed U.S. troops patrol Minnesota neighborhood. Paul Joseph Watson at InfoWars. A photo shows fully armed U.S. National Guard troops patrolling a quiet residential street in Crookstown, Minnesota, have gone viral, once again underscoring concerns that Americans are being conditioned to accept the gradual imposition of martial law. Although the photo is undated, Guard troops from the local Crookston Armory routinely take part in off-base exercises, which train the local population to accept the sight of armed soldiers patrolling the neighborhoods as normal. One such exercise in February 2011, dubbed Urban Operations Training, involved military Humvees and 27 armed soldiers conducting a drill around Bridge Street area of Crookston. According to Margie, the woman who took the photograph, when she started taking pictures of the troops, one of them told her, "Just training, ma'am," joining up with another patrol in the rally point. It's indoctrination. It's getting you used to it. Remember, you're throwing the frog in the pot of water. You're turning the heat up little by little. You don't notice that the water's going to be boiling soon. The water's getting hotter. Water's getting hotter. All right. This is We Are Change. Luke Rudowski. He confronts another corrupt government person in the name of Cass Sunstein. Listen to this confrontation here.
DeBerg from Brooklyn College. And I know you wrote many articles, but I think the most telling one about you is the 2008 one called Conspiracy Theories, where you openly advocated government agents infiltrate activist groups of 9/11 Truth and also stifle dissent online. I was wondering, why do you think it's the government's job, or why do you think the government should go after family members who have questions about 9/11, responders who are lied to about the air, survivors whose testimony commits, and also government whistleblowers that were gagged because they released information that contradicts the official story? Why do you think the government should do that?
I think, as Ricky said, I've written hundreds of articles, and I remember some and not others. That one I don't remember very well. I hope I didn't say that. But whatever was said in that article, my role in government is to oversee federal rulemaking in a way that is wholly disconnected from the vast majority of my academic writing, including that. So
I know that I'm just asking because you may be the next Supreme Court Justice, or I'm going to point to, and you did write those things, and that's why I want to bring them up to you.
So all I can say is there are a lot of things that I've written, I guess, and there are even more things I'm said to have written. And, I may agree with some of the things I've written, but I'm not exactly sure. I focus on what my boss wants me to do.
I just want to know, is it safe to say that you retract saying that conspiracy theorists should be banned or taxed for having an opinion online? Is it safe to say that?
I don't remember the article very well,
No.
so... I hope I didn't say either of those things.
But you did, and it's written. Do you retract them?
I'm focused on my job.
So you're not retracting that. Do you still believe that? Do you still believe that people shouldn't have freedom of speech?
Thanks so much. Yeah, I'm happy to talk about this, by the way. I can go on the record.
He's the man who wrote about it. So Cass, do you still believe in the Joseph Goebbels approach?
Please don't.
I'm asking a question.
I know, but you're
asking a question.
Just, you know.
It's the job of a journalist to ask questions.
Sure, give my book, sir.
Okay, go get your book, sir.
Which is more.
I'm sorry, I gotta ask him again. I have to.
So
I kind of have to.
we're not-
Yeah. I have a right to walk out of this building. So Cass, you don't... Do you repudiate those statements or not? Cass, do you still stand by them? And why do you think conspiracy theories are so dangerous? It's a very serious question. I mean, we're talking about undermining freedom of speech and critical thinking, about questioning the government. We just want to know your opinion, and you don't seem like you want to retract those statements, but they're very serious. They're very similar to Joseph Goebbels. That's what people compared you to, sir? Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
All right. So it's kind of always a telltale sign that when those who are out there supposedly standing up for the truth, like Cass Sunstein in these positions of power, that they don't want to talk about the things. And like he said, he only takes orders from his boss or what his boss wants him to say. So that just kind of tells a lot about who and what he's about. All right, let's see here. We're not going to get. I'm going to skip this one for another day here. I'm going to jump over to Dutch Sense, and this is about the severe weather. This is an update about what is taking place. We did the report the other day, so let's kind of follow up on this here.
Hey everybody, Dutch Sense here. 12:01 a.m. Central Time on Tuesday, May 1st, 2012. And we have another developing situation going on here, folks. Down here in South Texas, at the Mexico-Texas border, we have another line of very strong cells breaking out, heading to the east-northeast. We already have hail detected and damaging winds. I'm going to go ahead and turn off Titan storm tracking, and you can see the severity of these cells, bright pink in winds, and also very severe thunderstorms. Heading to the east-northeast, so that puts Corpus Christi, Austin, San Antonio, south of Dallas, over to Shreveport, coming up the south end. So we're looking at this. The storm is about to do that snake pattern. It's snaking out, as I say, and that's, of course, due to the winds on both sides pressuring on this front. It's actually a low-pressure system being pulled up from the south, but you can't really tell that since the eye of the storm is far off to the northeast. Now it's literally just pulling up that leftover remnant of what's in between. It's huge. It's a massive outbreak. Okay, you can see the computer's detecting multiple tornadoes, damaging winds, hail. National Weather Service has issued multiple tornado warnings, watches, severe thunderstorm warnings and watches, and even down here at the Texas-New Mexico border now, they have a severe thunderstorm warning and watch issued. So, overall, this is not going to stop. When you look at this, look at how this is actually playing out. You've got this really strong system off here to the east coast. Once it gets down to Kentucky and Tennessee, It's getting very severe when that cold and warm mix. In the Midwest, going up to the upper Midwest, a strong system, extremely strong system, and then down here to the south as well, a strong system, and then up here to the north, a strong system. And that's a swirling low and basically coming in over Washington and Portland still. When I turn on the cloud cover, you're going to see what I'm talking about here. All right, so we have multiple things at play here. This is the time where we need to have a plan and be prepared. When you look at the map across the board, East Coast, Midwest, West Coast, North, and South, all under some kind of strong self-thunderstorm, damaging wind, hail, or tornado. Okay, folks, if you get confirmation stories on any of this, let me know. This is just a heads up to anybody who lives in the line of any of these storms. Look at which way the arrows are pointing, and that tells you which way the storms are going, obviously. And you know, if you live in these areas, it's going to be really late or in the early morning when these storms do come through. So have that plan and be ready. If you know anybody who lives in these areas, let them know as well. They might be asleep. They might not know that this is coming down right on top of them. It's been a busy year, folks. It seems like every day almost, right? So hang in there.
All right, very good report. Thanks for the report, Dutch. All right, very last story here, then we're going to get into our meditation. This comes to us at from space.com, and this is super moon. Remember the super moons? We did a report last year. It's the biggest full moon of 2012. This one occurs this week. Skywatchers, take note. The biggest full moon of the year is due to arrive this weekend. The moon will officially become full Saturday, May 5th at 11:35 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And because this month's full moon coincides with the moon's perigee, its closest approach to Earth, it will also be the year's biggest. The moon will swing in 221,802 miles from our planet, offering skywatchers a spectacular view of an extra big, extra bright moon, nicknamed a supermoon. Not only does the supermoon's perigee coincide with full moons this month, but the perigee will be the nearest to the Earth of any this year, as the distance of the moon's close approach varies about 3%, according to meteorologist Joe Ray, Space.com's skywatching columnist. This happens because the moon's orbit is not perfectly circular. Alright, it goes on. There's more about it. The moon's full moon. Well, let's see what's this video right here. Alright. Alright, we're just going to skip this here. It says the moon's full moon is about 16% brighter than average. In contrast, later this year, the full moon will coincide with apogee, the moon's furthest approach. Though the unusual appearance of this month's moon may be surprising to some, there's no reason for alarm. Scientists warn the slight distance between distance isn't enough to cause any earthquakes or extreme tidal effects, experts say. So there you go. So if the moon looks extra larger this weekend, it's because it is. You're not just seeing things. That's why they're calling it a supermoon. However, I do recall last year during this time when we had the moons, there always is some sort of earth effect. So even though they say that there isn't, at space.com we do know from looking at past that there is some sort of consequences. So it's always good to pay attention because the moon does affect many things, and we are one of those things. The planet is another. So how we could say that they wouldn't affect things, well, that doesn't make any sense at all. Just think about it logically. The moon moves back and forth. It affects the things that it affects, like the beings of the planet. And as it moves closer, they're affected differently. And as it moves further away, they're affected differently. Same with the planet itself. So certainly moving in closer, it's going to have an effect. What kind of an effect? Well, we'll find out together, won't we? I guess that's what makes it interesting. We can't just worry about those sort of things. All right, very last but not least for today, let's do our prayer and meditation. Go ahead and close your eyes. Relax. Alright, we've ended 1 month of the year 2012, and we're moving on to the next. And as we've ended one and into the next, we look at our lives and we examine how we are moving along this journey. So consider all that you have done over the course of this last 4 months. One-third of the year. And consider where you are going the rest of this year, the next 8 months. And as you consider where you are going, and you recall where you've been, you're able to understand what it is you need to do to get from here to there. And you can make any adjustments necessary. And as you adjust, imagine yourself moving forward. But this time, with a slight adjustment. And as you get comfortable with the new adjustments, you realize the adjustments have gotten you more on track than you were. And as you are more on track, you feel more relaxed, more balanced. And you continue walking down the path of life. You make sure all of your chakras are activated, starting with the chakra at the bottom of the spine. Imagine the color red, and imagine the chakra, just a ball of energy, is drawing energy from the earth. And there's an exchange of energy back and forth between the earth and the lower chakra. And then the energy raises from there all the way up, the middle of the spine, all the way up to the top of your head. And as the energy raises up, it passes through each of the other chakra points. The next chakra above the root, bottom of the spine, is at the belly button. And as it passes through there, it changes to the color orange. And the energy keeps moving up, and as it passes through the bottom of the rib cage, the color becomes yellow. And the energy keeps moving up, and as it passes through the middle of the heart, middle of the chest, the color becomes green. And the energy keeps going up the center of your body, and by the throat it turns blue. And when it gets between the two eyes, it turns violet. And finally to the top of your head, indigo, and then it continues on up into the cosmos as bright white light connecting far, far into space. And honor your connection to the cosmos and to the earth, to all that was, to all that is, and all that ever shall be. Let's think good, loving thoughts for the world. Wish everybody a good month, an opportunity to get their lives on track even better. And let's just send a beam of love from our heart chakra all around the planet. And bring our attention back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. There you have it. That is our show, that is our prayer, and that is our meditation. Thanks for being here, my friends. I'll be back tomorrow with more news information. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.